Peter Burns is with the SEC Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Peter Burns ESPN. He is with us now on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What's up, Burnsy?
Gun show.
What's up, boys? I'm doing? I got my little inner Chris Doring rocking and rolling right now. Although I am a little jealous. Like, I'm starving. We just got done with our show, and like this Champy's chicken deal sounds like delicious.
Well, don't
I'm
worry.
all in on this.
Don't worry. I'm eating a Cliff Bar. We're not eating.
Yeah, I just had a Lunchable.
Yeah.
What is your death row last meal?
I thought you were going to ask me my favorite Death Row Records album, but honestly, you know what? I probably still want some. I'll take some like Cajun fried turkey stuff with jambalaya. Give me because I like whenever you're going to put me down, I want to be drowsy. So I figure give me something that is going to be fulfilling. And then and some brown stuff as well too to wash it down. So I'm in for that for the death row meal.
It sounds good.
Best game on the SEC. Dunaway just ran through a really fun SEC schedule. Best game on that schedule will be what?
I actually think it's going to be Kentucky Ole Miss because I legitimately, I mean, again, we live in a world that we're supposed to give opinions for a living, and I have no idea what transpired. So I love any time you got a game in which, guys, I mean, do y'all have a gut feeling about this? Because, I mean, I convinced myself for 48 hours that Kentucky was going to go into Oxford, and then I was like, well, why? Like, who is Kentucky beat? Then I flip it on the other side going, all right, well, Ole Miss is going to win. And I'm like, well, why? I mean, like, what have they proven so far? And that's crazy that I don't feel like a gut feeling on either of these top 15 teams right now. Do you guys feel?
I feel Ole Miss. For whatever reason, you don't know this about me, Peter. I cannot pick an 11 o'clock game, though. I stay away from it. I'm just text when it comes to 11 o'clock games, but I think Jackson Dart's going to play well. I think he's getting more comfortable in that system. And Will Levis, I'm just waiting for one of these meltdown games, and I think it could come 11 o'clock tomorrow. So I kind of like Ole Miss.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is that, everyone's made such a big deal out of Chris Rodriguez not being available. But in a weird way, I almost think it might have been kind of the best thing that could have happened to this team because, A, you already found out where the deficiencies were that Chris Rodriguez did not clean up with his play. So you can address that. And also then, guys, they had to start throwing the ball a little bit more. So think about how good Dane Keesby has been. Variant Brown's been solid. Tavion has been great, replacing Wan'Dale Robinson. So, I look at this, and you're right as far as does Levis try to do too much? I almost feel like you got to simplify it and get the ball out of his hands and get – I'd be shocked if Chris Rodriguez has less than 20 touches tomorrow.
Wow.
I mean, I would be absolutely mind blown if that's the case.
Well, he's got to be rested.
Yeah, he is rested. It's not like he's coming off an injury either.
Exactly.
It's a suspension, so he's been training. Peter Burns is with us, SEC Network. I'm equally as mixed on Texas A&M and Mississippi State, too. I mean, the Aggies, I mean, it's only gradual, but they seem to gradually be getting better offensively with Max at quarterback. But now you lose Smith, and it seemed like it was either Smith or A-Chain that was making every play. Now you lose. It seems like you lose half your offense.
Yeah, I mean, again, kind of follow my logic here. And I'm almost thinking like this is like a take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward if I'm Texas A&M. Like, if you want the best case scenario, I think for Texas A&M right now, because I don't think they're a college football playoff team this year, is them to be so horrifically bad on offense that Jimbo has to realize that he has to give up the reins as a play caller, in my mind. Like, I think Jimbo Fisher wanting, having his 17,000 pages in front of him and the calculus formula that he has to go through for every play call, I look at this and go, is this going to be another week where they struggle? And I think they do struggle in Starkville to where at some point he goes, all right, we got to go look at a different solution. I go back and remember Saban at one point, like he knew the offenses were changing. And what did he do? He hired probably a guy that he didn't necessarily want to hire as far as attitude-wise or professionalism-wise with Lane Kiffin because he knew that Lane could do amazing things with his offense. I think if what's separating Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher right now is not necessarily recruits, it's not necessarily facilities, but it's the fact that I think Nick Saban has adapted to the game in college football in 2022, and I don't think Jimbo Fisher has done that quite.
Yeah, the other option, Peter Burns is with us from the SEC Network. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Don't forget at Johnston RV Center right now, they're clearing out the 2022s to make room for the 23s. Great savings for you is what that means. Just like, I don't know, the travel trailers as low as $139 a month, fifth wheels as low as $329 a month. All that with 10% down and approved credit. I-65, 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. The option will be James Coley or Daryl Dickey if Jimbo decided to do that. Nobody at Georgia liked what Coley was doing. Dickey, I don't know what his track record is. So, I mean, even it would be a fresh set of eyes.
I don't think it changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it changes this year. I mean, go back and look. And, I mean, again, I would give a phone call to Joe Brady, as crazy as that sounds. Remember, Joe Brady came in and made, like, basically a proposal for LSU. Like, this is one of the things I would take a look at your passing game. And Orgeron liked him so much he ended up hiring him. I just think that at this point, you know, A&M is always going to try to win these games 24-17. And I go back and look at what's happening at Tennessee right now. Tennessee gets their playmakers out in space, right? I mean, look at how wide their splits are, and it creates really fun football, and it creates a lot more spacing right now. Like, what good is having a Ferrari, and they've got several Ferraris on their team, if you don't get them out in space? And I feel like he's trying to play a game that was in 2010 with the roster built in 2022, and I think that's the reason why they're struggling right now.
More difficult telling me who the best team in the SEC is or the worst team. Because you got Alabama, Georgia at the top, but, you know, I mean, Missouri, Auburn, Vanderbilt, take your pick.
I still end up thinking that it's actually Missouri, believe it or not. I mean, I think that in hell hath no fury like a Georgia team that played with its food at Kent State last week. I mean, Georgia just seems like they're just going to go on an absolute rampage this week against the Tigers. But, you know, I've seen enough out of Vanderbilt, you know, even after what happened last week, that I just think that they've got a little bit of moxie to them. I don't, especially now that Luther Burden's hurt, and I don't think he'll play in this game against Georgia. I just don't know if that next level is for Drink. Now, I don't think Missouri has them on a hot seat by any means, but it's like, what is the identity of this team? Like, I feel like I know the identity of a lot of teams. I don't know what that identity is for Missouri football right now. But again, I think this is a week in which we all keep talking about Tennessee and Ole Miss and A&M and all these kind of like middle tier teams in the SEC. I think this is the week that we're going to realize that, guys, that Alabama and Georgia are just head and shoulders above everybody when it comes to talent, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to depth. And it just looks like a march towards Atlanta once again for both of these teams.
That's interesting you say that, Peter, because Alabama at Arkansas, there are national college football analysts who are saying Arkansas wins this game outright. If Alabama handles that game on the road like you're talking about, what goes right for Alabama? What do you see happening in that game that's either right for Alabama or wrong for Arkansas?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, if you look at the box score and you do like the blind taste choice, all right, and you look at a box score and you give me one number, and if the penalties for Alabama are like less than 8, then I think you win this game going away. I mean, that's been their bugaboo when they've been on road games, and I don't know if that's lack of discipline. I don't know if that's bad luck, guys. I don't know what in the world that is, but to me, I just think that everything that Bama is good at, stopping the run, that's the strength that Arkansas has. And Bama looked a lot better throwing the ball against Vanderbilt last week. It kind of felt like there was a little bit of chemistry with Bryce and his wide receivers. And right now, Arkansas is atrocious. Like, remember Missouri run defense last year was almost flat out laughable.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's the way with after Catalan went down with the injury and Slusher hasn't been healthy. That's what the secondary is. I mean, if Missouri State's able to do that to you at home, you know, and put those numbers up, I know as Petrino, what in the hell do you think Bryce Young and this Bama offense is going to do? I think they put up monster numbers, and I think we've gotten punch drunk on how much we love Sam Pittman and how great of a story it is. But ultimately, I think they're a teetering 25, 30 ranked team in the country right now.
When you look at LSU and you followed that program for a long time, is it just the competition has changed, or are we seeing slowly Brian Kelly kind of get that get his philosophy and his culture in there? They look like a better team right now.
Yeah, I mean, they played I think they played 2 bad quarters of football all season long.
Yeah.
And they came at the worst time against a Florida State team, which I don't think is great, but I think they're a lot better than they have been in Tallahassee. I'm pissed that Mason Smith got injured on that front 7. And remember, he was a real talented kid that got injured celebrating in like the first quarter against FSU, because if he wasn't, I would be willing to put LSU's defense as one of the best in the country right now. I think that front seven just has its day and takes the lunch money out of Auburn coming up, especially with the third string. It would take Johnson's injury and they go down to a third string center. That I think we're going to know LSU defensively this year. And I think we're also going to find out we'll get a lot more respect for Jaden Daniels. I mean, Daniels, if you go back and look at it, I think he's completing 75% of his passes. And I think now that the game has slowed down a little bit for him after the first couple of weeks there at LSU, he looks to pass first as opposed to run first. And now that they got the offensive line a little bit in better shape, this feels like a 2-touchdown victory for LSU coming up down to the Plains.
All right, it starts early in the SEC, 11 o'clock on ESPN, Kentucky and Ole Miss. Eastern Washington, Florida got moved, Brown, so you don't have to read that one. I'm trying to – your early game got moved. What are you guys doing early?
Yeah, we're actually – so we get to kind of hang out and chill a little bit. They're going to just replay the South Carolina State. So I like South Carolina minus 36 tomorrow. Lead pipe lock.
Yeah.
If you want to tease it down just to feel even a little bit more comfortable with it, I'm good. But, yeah, we actually had Shane Beamer on the show this morning, and, and he talked about it, man. They had 2 get-right weeks between Charlotte and South Carolina State. So that's they just got so banged up with injuries. I mean, it's already tough when I think they're maybe about the 9th or 10th most talented roster, but the fact that the injuries that they had, the positions, that's a tough situation for Shane for the remainder of the season.
Where do you put Spencer Rattler as amongst SEC quarterbacks? I mean, the kid's been turning it over at a high rate.
Yeah, and it was funny, too, because I started thinking about that this morning on the show. And then, when watching last night, it's one of those things where the box score kind of lies a little bit because, you'll see the 2 interceptions that he had. If you go back and watch the plays, Xavier Leggett basically gifts them an interception. Like, that should even be counted against Spencer's number. It was 2 basically tip drills that it was Levitt's fault. I put him middle of the pack. I don't see anything that's really, standing out to me. I mean, I don't put him into Hendon Hooker or Will Levis or Jaden Daniels by any of those means, or of course Bryce or Stetson right now. So the problem is they just don't have an offensive line, that's going to give him time, and nor do I think they have playmakers on the outside. So, I mean, again, I think he had an offensive scheme that fit him better at Oklahoma and better personnel, but. I think he's okay, but I mean, some guys would take okay right now at the quarterback position.
How mad is Doring when he comes in and finds out you're working out of his own gym bag there? I mean, that's obviously a Florida shirt.
What's funny? The Puma. I was trying to do. I don't think I've done laundry in 3 months. I think that is the worst thing. It's unloading the dishwasher and unloading any bags that you've packed on a road trip. Yes. Those are the bane of all existences. And so, I do need some help from you guys though. So, each and every year, me and Doring have that LSU Florida bet. In the last 3 or 4 years, he's lost. So he's had to dress up like an idiot on our morning show. What's a good LSU Florida bet coming up this season? Y'all got any kind of suggestions or anything like that? He wants to do loser gets his ear pierced. Ooh. But I think he kind of likes that because he used to have his ears pierced. Right. So I don't think that's really a true loss for him. I think he kind of one of those I guess I'll lose. And, I need something good.
Can I give you one we had fun with, and it'll be a running joke on your show, is I think it was Dunaway that lost the bet.
I did, yes.
And Lance got to pick a random fact about every guest we had on. And as Dunaway went to the guest, he would have to introduce them that way. So, I can't even,
Peter Burns, SEC Network, and a very thin 10.5 in loafers. He would have a weird fact that I would have to throw
just
out
random,
there.
Yeah.
Peter Burns, formerly married to a Hooters girl.
Yeah.
See, something along those lines. Yeah. So it can be kind of true. I will say this. I need the visual gag though.
Oh, okay.
I need something to where if you're just watching us and the sound is off, you're look at Doring looking like an idiot. Because I just assume I don't even know what the spread's going to be. I mean, what would you consider the spread for LSU Florida right here, right now?
Where is the game?
It's in Gainesville.
It's in Gainesville this year, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I would think 4-3 right now.
Right. I mean, and basically the only reason why you're getting 3 is you're going to be at home. So I think it's a true pick 'em at this point.
So one bet we did, I don't, Ian Fitzsimmons, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the legend.
Yeah, former co-host of mine. He had to eat a raccoon. Now we got it specially done by a Cajun chef, so they did it almost like jambalaya style with the raccoon. You guys could do that.
Yeah, you don't have much confidence in your Tigers all of a sudden.
The bad part about it is I would know exactly who I'd call. I'd call Ben McDonald. Because Ben McDonald already has like a total raccoon recipe. He's like, no, don't do the jambalaya. You need to have a nice roux. Like he would actually go all in.
That's right.
True.
Ooh, maybe we do. Loser has to get a Ben McDonald haircut.
Oh, yeah. Look like 1960s NASA. Yeah.
Yes.
Just a full flat top.
Yeah. I like that now.
All right.
Now
That'll
you're
be good.
talking. Yeah. All right. He is Peter Burns. Go ahead.
Hold on. Before you go,
Yeah.
can I throw you some show content?
Please.
We did this on our show this week, and you guys will crush this topic.
Okay.
Because I had Charlie Potter on. He's great talking about
Yeah.
Bama Online.
Yeah.
And when I told him I think it's a boring beat because they're always good, right? I mean, Bama has been a boring beat because there's not really that truly many storylines. I want you guys to do a draft at some point, on or off air, about what beat would be the most interesting to cover in 2022. Like right now, like boom, you guys become bajillionaires and you have to cover a beat for the remainder part of this season.
I think it's Texas A&M.
Why?
It's pretty high.
Well, I mean, because of Jimbo. I mean, again, Jimbo's on track to lose 4 games again. And, and he's getting paid a ton of money. And that's a fan base that is starving for a championship, and they just seem so far away from it still.
So I think A&M is one of the top 3 picks. I don't have Alabama as one of the top 9 or 10 picks.
I would go Vandy. Nobody cares if I screw up and I got a trip to Hawaii out of it.
That's true.
Oh, come on, you can do better. Would Tennessee be one?
Yeah, I think so. I think Tennessee would be one. A lot of entertaining games. I mean, that's
entertaining games.
Yep.
Apparently, we're eating well in the football complex.
That's right.
You watch Josh Heupel.
Yep.
Life is good.
That would be good.
All right, I'll just leave you that with you guys. So.
All right. He is Peter Burns. First live game they got tomorrow. A&M, Mississippi State, 3:00. Burnsy, thank you. Have a great weekend.
See you, boys.
All right, buddy. Take care. Peter Burns with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.